Hey, what's up out there? I'm actually remaking this video. I wasted an hour making another one, and actually, it's not totally a waste. I brought up some bullet points I would like to bring up, but um, it was really, really long, and I don't want to waste your guys' time. And I, uh, I brought up a lot of things that were kind of a waste of time, and not on the subject. So I decided to redo this video. Okay, anyways, so let's get to it. So as many of you have heard, Nick on numerous occasions, has said on their next album, we're bringing back the harmonies. So what does that mean? Because obviously it's not like they stopped. Um, we see them performing all the time. We hear their new songs from their newest album and everything like that. So what does that mean? In the beginning, they often claimed to be a vocal harmony group, and it's what they aimed and strived to be. So to say we're bringing it back is kind of weird, you know what I mean? But a little history lesson. Backstreet Boys, when they're performing, when even before they had any original songs, they were performing songs by vocal harmony groups, or what would be considered vocal harmony groups. They claim at the time they had no idea what a boy band was, and over time, I guess because of just sort of pop culture and everything, just sort of the culture at the time, the name ended up slipping up, and this was the name given to these pop bands in a five-member group with full of young guys and stuff. But apparently, paraphrasing them, they had no idea what a boy band was. They were just trying to be a vocal harmony group. That's what they said, and they just ended up with the title boy band. So, with that being said, harmonies would be something that they really took interest in and something that they strive to be. And they looked up to groups like Boys to Men and Shy and Jodeci, so they said. Um, and so when Nick Carter says, and I heard him say this on a couple occasions, we're bringing back the harmonies this time around. So um, I just spent a little bit of time listening to all their albums. I just kind of skimmed through them, listened to the choruses mainly. Um, and so um, I think it's safe to say that in their first set of efforts, they did really try to push a harmony group sound. I feel like if you were to listen to, you can do your own homework if you'd like. If you actually listen to their first set of albums, everything sounds bigger as far as vocals. The choruses sound bigger, fatter, and quite frankly, it comes down to how intricate the harmonies were recorded at the time and what they aimed to do. So, um, let's look at the songs for example. In the first album, we had some songs that, for example, just to be close to you. We had in that song, for example, we had Kevin singing bass. We had perfect. Sorry, I'm mumbling my words. Perfect, perfect four parts. Sorry, I'm failing at this. Perfect four parts. Even perfect five parts. Um, so in the song "Just to Be Close to You," for example, we have Kevin singing bass, which really makes up for the sound. And only vocal harmony groups have a bass singer. You know what I mean? Like you're not gonna find like any old group that has or band that has a bass singer. Like it would be a harmony group. That's when you get a that's when you get a bass singer. Like you take harmony serious when you have a bass singer. Otherwise, like who cares, right? Just pattern shows that. Um, so we have perfect four parts, perfect five parts, good showcase of vocals in that song. Um, Here's another example from that same album. Actually, it's a bonus track. Only Japan got this apparently, but the song "I Want to Be with You." "I want to be with you." That's a really good example. I'm probably gonna bring this up a bunch as far as Backstreet Boys because it's a good showcase. There's perfect four parts, perfect five parts in there. And what does perfect four parts and perfect five parts mean? A lot of P's in there. Um, Basically, okay, let's think about it this way. A three-part harmony, right? If we take a three-part harmony, which is pretty standard and traditional, um, usually, usually, um, there's a melody, a high harmony, and a harmony underneath the melody, and usually on most occasions none of them have any notes that land on the melody or land on each other. So the high harmony doesn't have any notes that land on the melody or the harmony underneath that, and it's the same for every single one. Although there's occasions where I guess it's an artistic choice where they sort of make it land on each other every now and then, but for the most part, three-part harmonies are a perfect three parts throughout the whole thing. Now, obviously, we get harmonies that mimic each other, as we can easily see, especially on my channel, going through a lot of these songs. You'll get a high harmony except low. You'll get a melody except low. You get a lower harmony except low or high. You know what I mean? Vice versa. You get all kinds of variations except low or high, but saying the same way. So a perfect four part. This is sort of my own lingo, my brother's lingo. I don't know what the exact term is, but when I bring this up, it means when it's on notes that don't mimic somebody else, don't mimic another piece at all. So if I say a perfect four part, grab your perfect threes that you usually have, and then you add something else to it that's completely different. Now, with that being said, it's kind of difficult to do because a lot of the times when you add a fourth part, it starts to add friction. Oftentimes it becomes dissonant sounding, and it creates a dissonant harmony, and often that fights with the music, and sometimes they don't want to have that sort of tension, and that's exactly it. A lot of the times they'll use dissonant harmonies to create tension, but sometimes they can work it out where it sounds nice, and sometimes it doesn't sound dissonant. So let's say a perfect five part. When you could strategically put a perfect five part, that's just next level. So Backstreet Boys, my point here is Backstreet Boys actually did that. So on their first record, for example, there is perfect five-part harmonies in the first record. And other songs too, like other songs have pretty interesting vocals. Anywhere for You has interesting vocals where there are two melodies that veer off into one doing a dissonant harmony again, but somehow making it fit in a song that doesn't have a lot of tension in it. Even the part where it goes, hey baby, you have two variations of a lower harmony. One going, wait, hold on, let me think. Hey baby, hey baby, hey baby, and hey baby, hey baby. And the way it works out is it creates like this cool, like, perfect fours. And so if I'm remembering correctly, and just listening to the first record, when I was just listening to moments ago, like I said, I think even Backstreet Boys fans can really be like, wow, this has a lot of good vocal work, or it sounds big, it sounds, like it just sounds big and fat. The choruses are big, and like the harmonies just really stand out. And of course, the arrangements were a little more intricate. So I can say this far. Although I have still a lot of studying to do, but this is just at first hear, like just instinct. Like I can hear things that would just pop out, right? Like oh, okay. It gets that like it almost becomes instinctive, like when something just pops out, like when a four-part harmony comes out, it's like, oh, okay, whoa. Because it creates this new kind of ring. You know what I mean? It creates this new kind of ring. A lot of vocal groups have that ring in many of their songs. Looking at their second record, which to the U.S. would be their first record, so to speak, because it's a mélange. That's freaking French. It's a mix. It's a mix of the first record and the second one, because they didn't get the first one, so they mixed the second record and the first record together with the singles off of the first record, and then mixing it with the Backstreets Back album. But for Canadians or the countries that got it, their album is Backstreets Back. And so let's think about Backstreets Back for a second. 10,000 Promises is kind of interesting. Once again, we have Kevin singing bass. And now when I talk about bass, I don't mean like a low melody. So instead of what about your 10,000 promises? It's not what about your 10,000 promises. to me that's pretty standard. Like that's really standard, right? And especially with songs with attitude, all boy bands have this, or a lot of them do. Like maybe I'm overstating myself, but for example, like everybody, there's everybody, or um don't want you back cause you're no good. Don't want you back cause you're no. Or how about here we go one more time. Na 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 na. Here we go now. There's here we go one more time. Na 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 na. I'm sorry, I forget the words. Sorry, NSYNC fans. But songs like that, usually tends to have like that attitude kind of sound. Usually has like that low melody, and it's pretty standard. It's not that, quite frankly, in my opinion, it's not that cool, so to speak. So okay, well, what else? Okay, let's think about All I Have to Give, for example. I'm still unsure about like the whole harmony arrangement in the chorus. I feel like I can make out everything, but like it's really confusing why it was how it was. But anyways, let's look at the part where it goes, all I can give, all I can give. Sorry, I had to swallow. All I can give, all I can give. Oh, 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 right? Oh, okay, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. Like that part there, perfect five parts. You know what I mean? Perfect five parts. That's a really cool, like, vocal harmony groups do that stuff. Like, we had on the Millennium album the that's right, all up, and so on, right? You know that part where it goes, you know what I'm talking about. Or how about on the Black and Blue, the my brother actually covered that bit. I'm sure there's a perfect four part in there. There's gotta be. So stuff like that, that's harmony group stuff. That's awesome, getting in that perfect fours. You got your bass, you got your high falsettos and all that stuff. So thinking back about looking back on the first two records, I think harmony arrangements definitely a little more intricate. Now let's get to the Millennium album. Personally, my favorite album, the one I listen to like all the time. So many great songs on there. But let's think about this. A lot of the songs on that album had standardized harmonies, a lot of copies, a lot of high lows, as my brother liked to say, or double highs. A lot of you may even be familiar with that terminology with us by now, but harmony, like I was mentioning before, harmonies that mimic each other. So like a high harmony sounds just like the lower harmony, just saying on a different octave. It's not a bad thing. It really fills up the sound. It's really great, but it's not like that intricate, so to speak. We have songs like "Show Me the Meaning." That one actually has a really cool harmony arrangement, or pretty cool, pretty cool harmony arrangement, with Kevin singing bass. If I remember correctly, there's perfect fours. It's basically having perfect fives is pretty complicated to do. It's pretty rare. So if you can get perfect fives in a chorus, especially, that's amazing. And that's why I keep bringing up the "I wanna be," cause it has perfect fives. So like that's amazing. Um, let's think. Ultimately, the first four albums were really memorable too. But that aside, I'm talking about the harmonies here. Now their next effort was the Never Gone album, which had a decently big gap between Black and Blue, because that's when they had their hiatus. They sort of drifted away from the harmony sound a little bit, in my opinion. They moved to a more rockier sound, which was really great. You know, I have a hard time saying they drifted away from the harmony sound. Just sort of, again, the harmonies in Never Gone were pretty standardized, in my opinion. Pretty standardized. Sometimes the harmonies were very simple. Incomplete in itself, didn't even have a 3-part harmony. like basically ever in the chorus, basically anywhere in the song. Like not even a standard 3 part, because it was um I try, I'm awake. And then I try, and like that was it. Like that sums up. Like that's the whole video right there. That's the whole harmony arrangement basically. And then you'd have 2 part harmonies in other places of the song, and as you can hear, like I try, that basically starts the melody. I try going like I never knew you. I'm away. Is just a little bit more stylized is all. But we had some pretty standardized harmonies throughout the Never Gone album, and then of course we got Moving On, which is like an acapella, which was a bonus track. So once again, not everybody got that. Apparently, Howie wrote that, which is really really nice. It's a really nice song. But like that song is actually worth listening to and has pretty interesting harmonies. Got perfect fours in there with an interesting bass. For the most part, it's kind of like a bass line, which I'm not that big of a fan of. I'm not that big a fan of that. All right, moving on. I didn't even mean for that to happen. Okay, whatever. Sure, take that as a joke if you want to. I didn't mean for that. Okay, the next album was Unbreakable. Of course, the intro was an acapella lasting 58 seconds or so. I think it was 58 seconds. And like it's just not enough to like really be able to say anything. The song wasn't really enough to be able to say much about it. Like it's pretty cool. But it's only 58 seconds. Anyways, that record too, like just standardized harmonies. The harmonies didn't sound so big. Help Us When She Smile, I believe, had pretty cool harmonies. I'll reconfirm that with my brother because he was looking at it and still looking at it. I remember him saying like there were things that were pretty cool. But again, like I don't remember. I was just listening to it. I don't remember hearing any harmonies that really stood out that much. Just kind of standardized harmonies. You got your 3-part harmonies going on. Sometimes you get your double highs or your double lows, your low melody, which is, it's pretty cool, I guess. Making up for the sound sounds pretty good. Man, the next album, This Is Us, by far, man, that's I don't like that album that much. I basically don't remember any of the songs on there. Actually, I don't really remember any of the songs on the Unbreakable album that much. I don't know. I guess I'm not that big a fan of them. Although I know I like Unbreakable better than This Is Us. This Is Us has a sound that I'm really not into. I like when I listen to Unbreakable, I'm like, oh yeah, I can get into some of this stuff, but unfortunately, I don't really remember any of the songs that well. But that's just my opinion. Now I'm saying a lot, but whatever. It's kind of on the fly. So, okay, now, 18 minutes in. That's not so bad. Okay. Okay, now their latest effort, In a World Like This. So, my brother and I, we were excited. We ended up buying this album, like the day it came out, and man, like the first song was the first song definitely put a mark. In a World Like This is a great song. The harmonies are, I guess, pretty cool. Still kind of standard. But the song really popped, and it sounds like Backstreet Boys. It's modern, but sounds like Backstreet Boys. But for the rest of the album, man, just the harmony work is just like so not there. Like I don't know what happened. We got songs like Try Baby Try. I love that song, dude. I love that song. And it's only a 3-part harmony, really. Every time I listen to it, it only sounds like a 3-part harmony to me. I think, if I remember correctly, I remember there was a part where I'm trying to remember. I think there was a part where it was more than a 3-part, but then it just added a low high or something like that for a brief moment in time or something like that. What was that other song? You gotta trust me. Like that's like a 3-part harmony too. no bass, um, standard three part. I don't know what everybody's doing. Maybe like multiple people are singing melody and that's it. Um, Show 'em What You're Made Of is a two-part harmony. No three-part harmony even in the whole song. It sounds nice. Like I don't mind it that much. But at the same time, like this, I feel like this song, like how the song was constructed, had so much potential to have cool harmonies in it. It almost makes me want to like try recording under it, try adding harmonies myself to see how things go. Just try to arrange my own harmonies for that song. Again, like all these songs, like love somebody, love somebody. There's like basically no harmonies in that song, or at least not in the chorus. There's just love somebody and love somebody. Like, that was like basically it. That one phone call song, again, like all the songs, man, the harmonies were just like not there. And like when they were, it was pretty intricate. Um, yeah. So now let's think about this for a second. Nick Carter himself said, "We're going back to the harmonies. We're bringing back the harmonies." I'm paraphrasing him, of course. Um, so what does that mean? With that being said, with what I just said, like were they analytical about themselves? Quite possibly. I mean, I have a hard time believing that they're listening to people like me because, other than my brother and I, who else is talking about this stuff? Point me to somebody on YouTube or somewhere who's talking about this stuff. I mean, maybe there's forums. I don't really visit forums that much. I remember my brother used to visit this forum thing called Backstreet Boys Dark Side or something like that, where people would have discussions on there, and I showed up like every now and then. Haven't been there in like a year or something, maybe even two, but you know, oh, there goes my phone. Sorry about that, guys. So okay, um, maybe they're just being analytical of themselves, because I can't imagine that imagine they like found me and they were like, oh yeah, this guy's making a lot of sense. I mean, I have a hard time believing that. Um, so maybe they're just being analytical of themselves. Maybe it was a mix of the two. One thing's for sure. I don't think most Backstreet Boys fans are like me. You know what I mean? Most people just listen to their music and just have fun with it. But me, I always have to like pick out everything, and sometimes it ruins the experience for me because like I'm too busy like trying to piece it out together, right away. You know what I mean? The biggest demographic for Backstreet Boys, I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, are, well, we know for sure that it's female, and for the most part, a big part of why they like Backstreet Boys was because they had a crush on them. You know what I mean? They think they're handsome, their voices, they fell in love with their voices, and of course their songs are catchy. For me, it's a little different. I'm a man. Um, I don't really care for their looks. I mean, I guess they're handsome, but I like their songs. I think their songs are catchy, and I like harmonies. And it's fun to like take one of their songs and like try to dissect it and figure it out, right? But once again, I feel like most of the fans, like I mentioned before, the demographic don't do that. So I'm not sure if they would really care. So I'm like, okay, do they just care for themselves, or are they aware that people actually care? A lot of people do care. Um, Maybe some of you who are subscribed to me and like to talk about it and learn and stuff. You guys care. So I mean, there is a demographic that does care, but I feel like the most part, like when you look into the crowd, like I went to a Backstreet Boys concert, uh, for their In a World Like This tour. There was a lot of girls just like screaming their heads off, and like I can imagine that most of them had like crushes on them when they were younger. Um, I feel like most of the people who are Backstreet Boys fans, they're probably teenagers during the height of their career. A lot of them actually were like women around my age who probably were into Backstreet Boys when they were little girls. Um, and I'm sure and of course they have attracted new fans because of the internet and such. But it's interesting to me that in my opinion, I feel like their biggest demographic doesn't even care. No matter what, like no matter how their songs turn out, harmonies or not, they're always gonna have success. At the end of the day, it really counts if it's catchy. If it's catchy and no harmonies, it doesn't matter as long as it's catchy and memorable, right? But for a lot of fans and probably themselves, they wanted to be a harmony group to begin with, and they sort of drifted away from it, especially in their last effort, in my opinion. Um, so when Nick says we're bringing back the harmonies, that probably means they want to go back to like say their first record, and hopefully even better, because I feel like there was room to be better. Um, one other thing, I'll bring this up later, but like I'm paraphrasing Kevin. Kevin said we should have an acapella song on our next album. He said that. I saw them performing Just to Be Close to You on their boat cruise thing, and I'm paraphrasing him. He said we should have an acapella song on our next album. They should. And I'll bring that up in a sec. But yeah, I think Nick means like return to what they originally hoped for their group, and I think they realized that okay, our last effort wasn't really a harmony group, wasn't harmony group like, and I figured their 20th would have been, especially now that they have creative control. Maybe they would go all crazy and try some things, but I don't know, man. I don't know what happened, but that it gives me confidence when Nick says that, because maybe they're taking note of it. So now we're at the moment in time where I'm going to talk about my wish list and sort of Backstreet Boys tendencies. Actually, I'll talk about the tendencies first. So something that Backstreet Boys would often do is two melodies that would veer off. One would veer off into a dissonant harmony, creating perfect fours, which is cool. Okay, so let's take this example. Who do you love? Who do you love? Okay, that's I think that's the melody. And then we have who do you love? Who do you love? So with that and all the harmonies together, it creates a perfect four part. And we, of course, have Kevin singing a copy of Howie except low, which is often the case. And, that's pretty cool. Something else to note, it's handy to have two melody singers, especially live, because then you can have someone singing lead and have that melody. So, the song doesn't lose its structure. For example, like Boyz II Men, they only have four people. And, when one person sings melody, when one person sings lead, sorry, which often it's Wanye. Wanye is doing all his runs like whatever, and then either nobody's singing melody at this point and it's just harmonies, or they have a backing track, or somebody sings melody for him, so the structure of the song doesn't lose itself. And I've tried listening out for it, and it seems that someone will replace the melody for him when he's doing that. Although I'm pretty sure there are other examples where they don't. But anyway, that aside, that's why it's handy. But if they're leaving a spot open, I don't like that. If there's like a bunch of melodies, which it's fine as long as they it's like overdubbing and whatever, singing over top of each other, different members and everything. I think it's more interesting to have more harmonies and stuff. One thing I wish they would do is have Kevin sing bass a lot more. I don't mind that they don't do it all the time, but in my perfect world, they would do it most of the time. This is a big difference between Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. NSYNC had a permanent bass singer, and if we took Backstreet Boys, for example, how one would veer off into doing some sort of a dissonant harmony. I think the tendency for NSYNC is the bass would be doing that, and that's that's cooler in my opinion, and that's why a lot of people argue NSYNC's better. And sometimes they'll get like another harmony to do it, and then like it leaves an opening for perfect fours. So I think Backstreet Boys should really get on that. The perfect fours thing, they know how. As I've mentioned before, they know how to do perfect fives. So it's like a lot of people argue, oh, they can't, they don't because they can't. But they have. So why couldn't they just do it some more? The thing that I argue is they just do it a lot less. We have interesting showcases of harmonies for sure. Those 2000 medleys, every now and then when they do like a medley for a show, whatever. Like that time they did that Beach Boys thing, or that time they're at that award show doing something in 2000. Um, so they can, they can do some pretty cool stuff, but like they just don't do it as often, and hadn't done it as often. Um, uh, something that I wish for Backstreet Boys is do what Boyz II Men does, as far as like for example, their bass vocals. Okay, let me take on Bended Knee for example. Let's just do the pitch of can we? Okay, let's just pretend that's the pitch. I know it's not, but whatever. Can we go back to the days our love was strong? Can you tell me how a perfect love goes wrong? Can somebody tell me how to get things back the way they used to be? Oh God, give me the reason I'm down on bended knee. Okay, so did you hear how up and downy I went? Up and downy. But you know what I mean? All these curves. They're doing that because they allow for openings to create four-part harmonies and in multiple spots of the chorus. And that's just beautiful. There's perfect fours in on Bended Knee, and there's perfect fours in almost all Boyz II Men choruses. Um, and these bass parts. It's the same thing for other groups with the bass singers, where the bass, you'll hear the bass go up and down sort of like that, because I consider the bass like a really artistic harmony. I guess it really varies, but usually you'll have your traditional three part, and then when you have the bass, then like you can like do some funky stuff with it and make it land in interesting areas. So yeah, there's that. That's the thing about Boyz II Men, man. Like Boyz II Men, their choruses are always great, are always good. Their harmony arrangements are like almost always like awesome. It's always an adventure to listen to. I can't say the same thing for Backstreet Boys, unfortunately. It's like every now and then it's an adventure. Um, so with that in mind, I want to hear bass parts like that, not just slow melodies, not copying anybody else. A really artistic bass harmony, and as pattern shows, the bass harmony is like that. It's usually the harmony that gets really artistic, and because you have to have the ring, as my brother and I like to say. You got your three-part harmonies, and then the bass is doing something artistic and not doing anything of the default sound. So that's something I would love to hear. Intricate bass parts. Excuse me. I would like to hear perfect fours if you can. I realize that it's a little difficult to fit in. But perfect fours, if you can, perfect fives. I'm a little bit reasonable though. If you have a hard time doing it, But try, man, try. If in my perfect world, if their lead single has a perfect five-part harmony, especially in the chorus, that's just everything. If they have a lead single on their next one with perfect five-part harmony, that's just brilliant. And something that I absolutely love, that a lot of other boy bands and vocal groups have done, is when the music slows down or when the music gets stripped away and it's just the vocals. I'm talking about songs like for example, This Gift, a song that I fell in love with, and one of the reasons being because of this part where the music just like slows down, fades away, and it's just the vocals taking you away. Just listening to the harmony, like you're just living in bliss with all these vocals in your eardrums. And it's just so cool, man. Like when I heard that song for the first time, I turned up the radio. I'm like, oh man, this is great. This is deliciousness right here. So this gift, waiting to give this gift tonight, and when they have that bass, waiting to, and that waiting to give, the waiting to creates a perfect four part. Even the song, you're my sunshine after the rain, you're the cure against my fear and my pain, 'cause I'm losing my mind when you're not around. That song too, the music fades out, and there's perfect four parts. I get tongue-tied saying perfect four parts for some reason. Again, perfect four parts in that, as well as I wish wish you look at me that way. Your beautiful eyes looking deep. That too. Perfect 4 parts, and the music fades out. And I'm trying to think of Backstreet Boys songs that do that. I wanna be with you. You know, that song does it. Although it's only Japanese, the Japanese who got that album, so they got pretty lucky with that one. It was a bonus track, and apparently only Japan got that. Or how about
maybe have
Larger Than Life
one of
kinda
those
does
moments
that.
like All I Have to Give.
I can't really think of any other songs that do that. Really,
like
that's
that part
Backstreet Boys
there
songs.
with the perfect
But
5 parts.
if they
and all
have
the
one of
vocals,
those,
doing all this
in one of
funky
the songs,
stuff.
Hopefully, like again,
Like
my wish
that's
list,
vocal harmony group stuff right there.
Their
You know, another example like in
lead
sync.
single. You know, because that really that will really pop for people. Like, oh wow, look at that, listen to that. And
la 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 la, that part, and Boyz II Men, the doom 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 da da doom 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 da da na ya ya, in Motown Philly, back again. You know what I mean? Like every great vocal group has that stuff, and if we listen to their last set of records, they don't have any of that stuff. Like their last 2 records, like I was just listening to them, and they didn't have that stuff, and I was listening out for those. In a world like this, definitely doesn't have anything remotely close to that. So things like that, that's pretty cool. That would be getting closer to the harmony sound. I'm gonna just bring it up again. Honestly, just making the most use of the sounds, filling it up. 5-part harmonies. Try to get perfect fours. Try to get perfect 5s. Pieces that aren't falling into the same notes as other things or copying other things. Of course, I'm gonna bring it up again. It's impossible. It's almost impossible to have perfect 4-part harmony throughout the whole chorus, because then it just sounds really dissonant and sounds weird, and it won't sound nice. Okay, and I want the acapella thing to come into fruition. Is that the word? I'm just going to say come to pass. I really hope that an acapella track comes to pass. And I want it to sound like, for example, the song I Thought She Knew. I feel like that's brilliantly arranged. Everybody gets a solo except for Lance. He got the short end of the stick there. But the way how everybody gets a solo, how they get replaced when they do a solo. So it's not like a lead over top or anything like that. I love the fact that the lead is a part of the harmonies, if you get what I mean. It's a part of the arrangement. And when someone had a solo, let's say Chris Kirkpatrick, when he had a solo, Justin replaced what would have been his parts because he's not singing anymore. So I would really like an acapella with perfect 5-part harmonies, Kevin singing bass, Howie singing the highest harmonies, and whatever happens to be the middle ground, the middle area, I mean. I would really like it if something that I'm not a huge fan of is when the bass harmony is just like a bass line. I'm not into that. Like dom 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 dom. I want it to be actually like a harmony. For example, like I Thought She Knew. I like that. I thought she knew, I thought she knew my world around her, my love light burn. So, like that, you know what I mean? I prefer it if it was an actual harmony instead of like a bass line. I don't know. It's cool every now and then. I like their Oh Holy Night thing. Their Oh Holy Night, where like it's kind of there but not all the time. The doom 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 doom. And what would be amazing on top of that and kind of risky? They should do it, man. They're in the points of their career where like they should just start trying stuff. Make that acapella single. Maybe not their lead single, but definitely a single. Like how many harmony groups actually put out an acapella single? If I remember correctly, so I have read, I wasn't born at the time, so I don't remember like when it was released.
So it's hard to say goodbye to yesterday. Apparently, the single version had music. I've listened to it myself, and I don't like it. I prefer the acapella version. Um, we have All for One with "As We Stroll Along Together, Holding Hands, Walking All Alone." Wee oo wee oo. Um, Although the harmony arrangement in comparison to other ones that they've had, as far as acapellas, isn't that cool, but nonetheless, they released that, and that was their first single ever, and that got them on the map. So I think in a perfect world, my wish list. Okay, we're gonna bring up the wish list here. I want, perfect 5 parts, perfect 4 parts, wherever you can fit them, preferably in like almost all songs, but their lead single for sure. I want one of those harmony breakdown parts. I want an acapella song, perfect 5 parts, perfect 4 parts in there somehow. Just a nice arrangement. Similar to "I Thought She Knew." All the great vocal groups have acapella songs. I feel like Backstreet Boys don't have a proper one. Like they have like their like "All I Have to Give" thing, and their like medley and whatever. No, I want like an actual song that was like made for it, if you get what I mean. An original song. Maybe they wrote it themselves, but I just want a well arranged Backstreet Boys acapella track. That'll really put people in their place if people are deniers of them. Okay, so back to my wish list. I want Kevin singing bass on a lot of tracks. Our last album, he like barely did any of it. The most that he did was singing low melody, which, it's not that cool. Remember, as I was talking about, like Michael McRae from Boyz II Men, like all the ups and downs and stuff, and there's a lot of that in Boyz II Men songs. And just all around making everything fit. So making squeezing in those room, like making when the harmonies like make room for it to pop in, pop out. Just creating those moments where it has that special ring, as I like to say. And I want everyone to get like an equal amount of singing on this album. I think that Brian's voice is not where it was before, but there are still things he can do. As we've been able to see, certain ranges he can still sing very well. He can still sing falsetto. He can still sing high and belt and stuff like that. So he has. I think they should work around him a little bit so that he can have his place where he can do well. That's basically where it comes down to. He has a place where he can do well, and unfortunately, some of their older songs weren't set up like that because he used to be able to sing all those things and not have a fluttery voice and whatnot. But I'd like to hear more Kevin, more Howie. But anyway, I want to know what you guys think. I'm gonna wrap this up before it gets too long. I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. What are your hopes and expectations? Hopefully they live up to the expectations. Hopefully they live up to my expectations, and as well the expectations of the fans. And hopefully what Nick was talking about was more of what they aimed for in the beginning, because that's what they always claimed that they wanted, to be a vocal harmony group. And I don't think their last record really was really a great showcase of that. But anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go. Thanks for listening. It means a lot. That's my piece. I want to know what you guys think.